in because I didn't think I'd be back here.
Oh, well.
It's okay. It works. It's just the whole Hudspeth family. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sunshine State Happy Hour, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com. This is Dave, your host and author. We are letting Lager Layover sort of take things over today, so that way we can focus on breweries from the rest of the U.S. And one of the breweries that I was able to go to a couple months ago in downtown Renton, Washington. It's Four Generals Brewing. Absolutely charming, phenomenal place. And we literally have the whole family with us. We have Mary, Ross, and I did not realize that we were going to have Mike Hudspeth as well, but that's great. So the three of you, thank you so much. And I'm going to start off with the obvious question. Is that really a prison by your bathroom?
Can I move this slightly?
Yeah, go for it.
Ross, can you shut the door?
Right here.
There's the door right there. We're literally right there. We are in the original holding cell right now for the city of Renton, for the women.
And then this big door behind me, this is where the men's jail cell was. And this is our new walk-in cooler that we added a few years ago now. But
yeah.
That is
awesome.
Amazing. So I was taking a look at it. Was the old Renton City Hall that you sort of renovated. How did you even get that space? I would assume that would be prime real estate for a place like Renton.
5 years ago, it wasn't as prime. Mary and I were walking around looking for a spot, and there was a couple other buildings we were looking at, and we happened to walk past this one and said, well, let's just call the phone number on the door. And did. Got in here, I don't know, that day, next day.
Well, Mike was here too. It's the next day, yeah.
And
we just had a meeting looking for other places, and we just walking around and saw it. And then the next day when we came in and took a look at it, we all three went, oh, this is the
Fell
place.
in love. This is amazing.
but it was a bare. It's not at all what you see today. It was bare rafters all the way back to the room or to the wall in front of the bathroom. And then this back jail cell was one big room instead of having a bathroom in it. I guess I had a bathroom in the corner, but it was one big room.
No privacy.
No privacy. But yeah, so we had to put a 2-hour burn room in. So when you're in the tap room there, you see that big piece of glass. That's an 1.5 inch piece of 2-hour fire-rated glass.
Interesting.
With fire. So everything, even though it's an electric system, the city made us put in burn stuff, which is kind of neat because as far as I'm aware, beer is not that flammable. But
Well, it's interesting that you mention it because there's a brewery right around the corner. The name escapes me, but theirs was very similar to yours in that it's got that wall that sort of separates the brewing system from the tap room. And I didn't know if that was a state issue, if that was a local issue, or so on.
Yep, it was a city, and then it just worked really well for King County Health. Getting all that passed, it just made it really easy with that separation in there.
Gotcha. Well, now is the time that we usually go around and see what everybody's drinking. And Steve and I are going to be pretty fast because we only have the one, but I'm very happy because, Mary, you poured the flight for us.
Poured the flight of the lagers, just the lager part of it.
Just the lagers. And Ross, obviously, since you are the brewmaster, I would love to hear all three of you sort of kind of walk us through what you got.
Well, I'm just going to turn it around here so we can see it real quick. So we can get our nice light to dark. I know it's kind of dark in there.
That's actually perfect. Oh.
Yeah, it actually looks great.
Yeah, so nice color schemes there. So yeah, we'll go through them.
It's also a horrible problem to have.
I know, it's rough.
Oh no, I hit a button.
Oh, you're good.
Okay,
right.
You guys shrunk, so.
So
Yeah,
first off, we have so all of our lager beers are filtered these days. We have a lenticular filter. It just really helps with shelf stability, with presentation, flavors. As they're Helles. So when we were in Germany 3 years ago, obviously Franconia area, that's the main table beer everywhere. And I'm sitting there going, okay, this is awesome. So before I was even on the airplane, I was already writing a recipe. And the guy who taught me how to brew, who's actually on our R&D team with us still to this day, he's got a 1-barrel glycol jacketed, basically just a 1/3 version of what we have here. So he and I were working on that, like I said, before we even got on the airplane. It's 4.9 ABV. It has that really nice bready German flavor to it. Because we use best malts here. When we were in Germany, I was asking the brewers, going, okay, what kind of malts do you use? And everyone here thinks Bayerman is German malt, and it is. It's wonderful malt. It's high quality stuff. But what we found in Germany was the brewers were all like, yeah, Bayerman's fine. We use either best malt, or more often or not, we use Hans or Karl, who's been malting for 200 years down the road.
Oh, jeez.
My palate, best malt tastes more like what we find just kind of all over the place, more of that local malt. And then the Bayerman's got a little bit sweeterness to it, whereas the best is a little bit breadier. So it was really a good distinction for us. Also, I don't know if you guys have heard of this little brewery in Chuckanut, up north of us. They do amazing beers. Won GABF Small Brewery of the Year like 6, 7, 8 years ago now.
For lagers.
For lagers. And they are doing really good stuff, but they use Bayerman. So it helps distinguish our beers from their beers.
Perfect. Yeah, the one beer that I did get to try was the Hellas, and it was just fantastically perfect. And you nailed it just right, just the right amount of sweetness, just a touch of that citrus. It was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best that I've had. So keep doing what you're doing with that. But what else do you have?
All right, I assume the next up is Pilsner.
No, Chela.
Chela. Okay, so this is our Mexican lager, light Mexican lager, excuse me. This one is all local ingredients. So in the tradition, when the Germans went to Mexico and brought their beer, and were able to use local stuff and adjuncts. So we have all Skagit Valley malt in this guy, and then Cascade Beer Candy sugar, their candy cane sugar, their clear stuff, just to help really dry it out and give it that proper flavor. And you got that little bit of sulfur from the Mexican lager yeast. We're using the Imperial Mexican lager yeast. I actually have been liking that one quite a bit. Price-wise, it was very comparable to White Labs. Both of them are very high-quality yeasts. And then the next is one of my personal favorites. This is our Pilsner. This guy, once again, it's all best again, with just a touch of Carafa 3 in there for color to help distinguish it from the Hellas. I don't remember the hops, excuse me. It's been a long couple of months with this whole COVID crap. So this guy, it's 5.1, excuse me, so 12.5 Plato starting gravity, and just absolutely delicious. When we were in the town spot, they had their Fresh Hop Festival the day we were there. So we got to go around in a parade, drop off kegs to all the bars, and this is the closest thing I can make to featured Spalter hops. Give you that nice flavor.
Just a nice little side bit, though. When you're in the parade and Spalt dropping off the kegs, the restaurants bring up schnapps for you. It was amazing.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
It was a great parade, and then it ended up in the town square with 2 more kegs that they tapped and just started handing out beer.
And watching the firefighter erect the pole.
Yeah,
The maple.
But it wasn't made.
but it was the fall pole.
It was pretty awesome.
That's amazing. It was amazing.
Set this way down. So
All
next
right.
one, this is our Maibach. So last year we wanted to do a Bach, and we did it as a collaboration with another brewery here that I have a lot of respect for. And we actually took a gold medal at Washington Beer Awards for that beer, but it didn't turn out as a Maibach. We used our yeast strain, which he wasn't familiar with, and we used Munich Lager 2308 here. He just wasn't familiar with it and didn't quite, know all the steps and whatnot. And no big deal. It won a gold medal as a Meritzen. So that was pretty awesome. Of course, we entered it as a collaboration Meritzen because it had more sweetness, and it was not a Maibach. We entered it as a collaboration Meritzen. They entered it as a Meritzen. Ours got disqualified for that's not a Meritzen. So the judge there knew what they're talking about. There's 1 gold medal.
So, judging.
Yeah, so this year, and we did it our own here in our own brew house. It's 7.1 ABV. Once again, it's featuring all best malts. Though we did do a pilot batch on the 1-barrel system of this one, and we did it with Bayerman floor malted malt, and it actually came out very, very similar. It's real hard to distinguish the two of them. So that was a really cool experiment to see. We have some good friends at Lowercase and Lowercase, Chainline, and George did a Maibach as well, and those side by side. They did a decoction mash. I didn't. They're also very, very comparable, tasty, and impressive to see that we're not the only ones doing great lager beers out here. Yeah. So that's
Perfect. It sounds amazing. kind of jealous that you're on the other side of the country and enjoying all
Right.
this. I kind of wish I was there with you, being able to kind of go through all these samples, you know?
It's not even the other side of the country. It's the opposite corner of the country.
Literally, yes.
Much farther away.
Except for one.
Boy.
So next was our Renton Cito, the dark Mexican lager. So it's more of a Modelo style one. Once again, it's all scheduled ingredients with the candy syrup in there for the lightness in the body. We do have corn in both of these. It's a small amount, though. I think it's like 3 or 4% or something. It's just enough to give it that flavor, but not, some of the Mexican lagers that people are making, like, whoa, I'm drinking corn out of a can. That's not my thing. I like refinement. I like, sophistication. So yes, that one's quite tasty. Both of them are great with or without a lime. With the whole shutdown thing, we haven't had limes in the tap room, so I've been drinking them without and going, I'm rediscovering how much I love these beers. Want that one?
Heard that?
All right.
When people come in to try the lagers, the Mexican lagers, I always tell them to try it first without the lime, and then just put a lime in it. And it's a totally different flavor. They're both excellent, but it's just a little bit extra, or you don't need it. It works great without it.
Next up is our black beer, our Schwartz beer. We have a lot of people come in and go, oh, you got a stout or a porter? I'm like, well, we're a German brewery, but here's our black beer. And they go, oh, wait, that's if they try it. Some of them are just like, no, it's not a stout or a porter. Call this porter, I'm sure they drink.
It's a shame.
But yeah. So it's just got that beautiful roastiness. We used Crappa 3 for the color and the flavor in this guy, which is just a really wonderful malt. Being able to combine that best malt for the base and that Crappa 3 for that flavor is just an awesome thing that I can do.
Then we also have a coffee shop, an independent coffee shop on the next block that opened up just over a year ago. Boon Buna. They do Ethiopian coffee. They roast on site. Great people. They cold brew for us, and we add that into the Schwartz beer and have a Schwartz beer with coffee also on tap.
So,
Well, sounds absolutely fantastic.
One more.
One more. All right.
So we decided to partner with Lionheart, which is a charity that helps disabled first responders.
First responder.
Okay.
It started with fighters. So we said, let's do Rauch beer because Rauch beer is delicious, and Bamberg is one of my all-time favorite places in the world. And so this is our Rauch Dunkels. We have a Rauch Hells as well that we do during the summertime, though not this year because it sells in pints better than it does in growlers. So we've got a back stock right now.
Yeah.
So every pint that's sold, we donate $1 to Lionheart and give customer an option to match that. We've donated, I think, $1,200 so far from pints, and then at least another $500 that we did on top. And it is just delicious and smoky. It's not overly smoky. It's only 40% smoked Rauch malt. We use environment, which each would age malt in this one. The Hells is actually only 20% Rauch malt, but being a Hells, it's got a lot. You can't hide as much.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. And it's kind of funny that you mentioned the lagers, because what I've heard a lot of people talk about, a lot of breweries talk about right now is because they're not moving as much beer, because the beer is sitting in the tanks a little bit longer, they're starting to play around and experiment with lagers to a level that they never had the ability to before. Are you finding that as well, or is that something that you've always been able to do on a fairly regular basis?
So we focus on lagers as much as possible. So the last 3 years since we got back from Germany, we've made it a point to be lager focused.
So the only one that's come on since it started was the Maibach, but we brewed it back in January. So this is normal for us.
Gotcha. Which is kind
we
of...
we try to do a seasonal lager. So you got the Maibach for spring, you got Fest beer for Oktoberfest, beautiful Bitterbach for wintertime. We're actually going to, next year, we're talking about, we're working on right now doing the piloting, but hopefully next year we're going to do a summer Bach as well, which is not really an official style by any means, but we're going to play with it and go for it. And because people do like that seasonal higher ABV beer. But what we've noticed, people really like 12 Plato beer. 12 Plato beer, you can drink a lot of them. You can not get drunk and have to drive. Yeah. And we've been selling a lot of that. And it's been interesting with this whole shutdown. We're in Seattle-ish. So we have and I was talking with my main bartender the other day. He mentioned, since we've been shut down and the Boeing guys haven't been coming in sucking down hazy IPA on Fridays and Saturdays, well, mostly Fridays. our hazy IPA and our regular IPA sales have dropped drastically. And it's a lot easier to drink a 64-ounce growler of a delicious lager beer than it is something that, oh man, this is so hoppy. I mean, our IPA is only 65 IBUs, so it's not like crazy hoppy, but it's a big difference from a 25 IBU lager.
Well, and it's actually kind of an interesting question or several questions that you actually just sort of kind of gave way to, mostly of who the regulars were, and did you see any differences? So it kind of sounds like the people that are coming in and purchasing to go are really one style of beer drinker, and yet a lot of the people that hang around are generally another style of beer.
So you had a couple things happen. So what I've been telling everyone is we're selling twice the volume at half the price to a quarter of the customers with this whole lockdown thing in growlers. But the other thing is Boeing.
Max?
Yeah, the Boeing Max thing. And so Boeing's, shut down. We don't see airplanes go by on the train anymore, which was really cool to see them, 2 blocks away. But yeah, so with Boeing facilities shut down, we've lost a lot of that crowd. A lot of the crowd. I don't want to, generalize too much because there was plenty of lager drinkers in that crowd, but a lot of them like the IPA. And a year ago, before this whole COVID stuff, we were selling 50-50 German beers versus non-German beers. And that includes all beer and our Hefeweizen, so a couple ales in there as well. But now that we've been doing the whole lockdown, it's really jumped up. I'd say probably 80, 85%.
75-80% lagers.
Yeah, which is awesome. It's really letting us do it more. And because we've been focusing on lagers so long, have you guys heard that whole 10,000 hour rule thing where you do something for 10,000 hours and you get really good at it? I really believe that, it's great that a lot of these breweries are trying to do lagers now that they've got some time. And if they continue with it, they're going to become good. But, I mean, if you're really good at making IPAs, you can't just hop into lagers and start making amazing lagers. So we've been fortunate that we've been able to be doing this for about 3 years now out of our 4 something that we've been open.
And it's because we're a strange little company, because we're family owned, because we've got Mike who still has his real job that, keeps me afloat so I don't have to take pay, that we're able to put the time into lagers, that we're able to let things sit in the tank for 7-8 weeks as opposed to having to quick turn them.
We also have 54 barrels of cold side on a 3-barrel hot side.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's
amazing.
Double and triple batch, and then we let it sit for 2, sometimes 3 months, depending on what the ABV is. We definitely can turn like our Helles a lot faster than we can turn our Maibach, for instance.
Right.
That's all.
It's absolutely amazing. And obviously you just opened today, so clearly you are kind of making it through the downturn. But there's a lot of craft beer in county. And how have the other breweries sort of fared? Have you heard of any closures, or is everybody kind of trying to stay afloat as much as possible?
Yeah, unfortunately, I got word that a brewery that we're good friends with up in Monroe is shutting down. I got word yesterday. I don't know if you guys have heard of Pico Brewing. They make the little bread box. Well, it's a brew in the box thing for home brewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they shut down, called us up and gave us a bunch of free grain. They're like, we just want to give it back to the community. So it's awesome that we got some free grain. It sucks to see, them shutting down. But yeah, I've definitely heard of a few. We're really lucky that we're in that really versatile size range right now. We weren't selling much wholesale, so when all that went away, it was like, hey, look, we're selling a keg a week to Whistle Stop.
Big one. Well, and the big one that shut down around here is Pyramid Seattle.
Yeah.
That was the big oh, okay. So
yeah, those are one of those too big to fail sort of places, and when they fail, it's a little you got to kind of.
Another really good brewery around here that's having a really tough time. They got hit hard with the whole equipment bankruptcy stuff. They were buying equipment and lost their down payment and then made the move, and now this. And they make fantastic beer. They are an incredible company and a really good company. And I know they're hurting right now. So just fingers crossed that everybody can make it through one way or another.
Well, pretty much. And I mean, are you able to, I guess, when were you able to open? Because it is just the brewery, you don't have the restaurant, and know a lot of the restaurant there were breweries that had on-site kitchens open for a little while, or they kind of were able to stay open. When were you able to open and sort of start getting that portion of
We
your?
have a wonderful Washington Brewers Association that, when the whole shutdown thing started, was at the governor's office down in Olympia, fighting for us, and we've never had to close. We've been open for to-go sales only, and that has continued. The earliest we'll be able to allow people in the tap to maybe have beer would be the 1st of June.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So right now it's just to go. When we open, it's so strict. I honestly think we're going to have a maximum of 8 people that can come in and have a beer inside and 4 outside. So
yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful tap room, but it is, quaint.
It's very small.
Is there any? I only say this because we were on the phone with the CEO of Sibley Brewing in Denver yesterday, and he was saying that he's really trying to push for outdoor seating, and you do have a beautiful little outdoor patio. Is that something that the city might be interested in helping to expand so that there's more seating outside?
I don't know of a way that they can do that with keeping ADA compliance.
Okay.
Liquor Control Board compliance.
Because we're literally on the sidewalk, and we take up the entire spot in front of our business. The only way to take more is to take the sidewalk away from ADA, which we can't do, or go in front of another business.
Which goes right in front of their front door. So
yeah, that's not going to work. Right now we are allowed to have 50% of our normal outside seating, and we normally have 8 or 9 chairs out there, so we can have 4.
Nice. Yeah. So I'd love to talk a little bit about Four Generals as a whole, because you are a family-owned business, and we do have the family in front of us. Is this something where, Ross, you just grabbed mom and dad and put them in? And I'm being attacked by a ghost right now. It's a ghost in the middle of the show.
Hi, Ashton.
So how? First of all, how did your sons? You 4? Because I'd love to know. And how did this sort of get started?
Well, I'll answer how it got started first. Back in 2012 when the government shut down for the 4 weeks or whatever. I was homebrewing at the time, and I had a buddy that came over and was really impressed. That's up, tiny human. Was really impressed with my beer, and really impressed that I was taking it seriously as a homebrewer. I wasn't just getting smashed. I wasn't even drinking while I was brewing. And that impressed him a lot. And he was a government employee, so he was out of work for a little bit. And so he's like, hey, man, you ever thought about going bigger and, going pro? I'm going, well, I'm a home brewer, but, it's every home brewer's dream at some point when they're dumb to start a brewery. And so we formed the company in 2013. We actually filed. So I guess it's 2013 that the shutdown happened. Anyway, so that's when we formed a company. We had the name Four Generals Brewing. We were an LLC. We were going to do it out of his garage. I was renting a house at the time, and he was looking to buy a house. So he ended up buying a house that later on would not work for many reasons. But he bought a house that at the time we thought would work. It had a detached garage. It was an unincorporated King County. There's a lot of things going for it at the time. And so he gets the house, and I'm like, sweet, I have a kegel system. I need a bigger system. So I go buy like a barrel and a half system. And I bring it over to his house, and he's like, that's not what we talked about. So I'm going, dude, we can't have a kegel system. That's not enough. We need more. And so I just kept bringing equipment over to his house, and he got to the point where he got cold feet. And that's when Mom stepped in, and I'll let you guys tell the rest.
So at that point, Ross came to us and told us what was going on, and we had a big family meeting, which we do quite a bit,
Okay.
and decided that we believed in him. We believed in the beer, but we needed to do it in a real building, in a real spot, make it be a real company. So our caveat was he quits his job, I quit my job, and we jump into this, find a spot, and do it full time.
And I don't quit my job.
And Mike doesn't quit his job.
Someone in the family needs to make money.
Exactly.
And obviously with Renton, Washington, you both clearly traditionally the biggest employer in that area. But in terms of cultural importance, especially to Steve and I, geek culture is kind of big in Renton, and it's amazing how many comic book stores and gaming tabletop sort of places you pass by on your way through downtown, being home of Wizards of the Coast and such, that kind of thing. Does a lot of that culture kind of come into the brewery either by invitation and you'll have nights, or is that just sort of spill and there's a game going on? Hi.
Yes and no. We do trivia on Tuesdays, and the fellow that writes it is also big into the Renton Comic-Con. And that whole scene, and he literally writes it that day and comes in and does trivia Tuesday nights when we're open, and it's tons of fun. Always nerdy categories. I think my favorite ever was My Little Pony or Stripper.
It's a classic there.
Steve, we're missing our calling. It's beautiful.
We're in the wrong state.
It's amazing.
Well, we definitely do some of that gamer aspect in. We've got the retro games next to us. So we get a lot of customers that carry over between the two.
8-Bit Arcade around the corner.
One of our employees actually works at 8-Bit as well.
We have a dragon on the top of the building next to us.
Right.
That the owner of this building owns. There's a dragon on top of the building.
Erasmus.
It's a big, beautiful metal dragon with eyes and mouth that glow and change colors.
I have to take a look. I'm trying to remember if I remember that or not. Yes.
Look up Erasmus the Dragon. He's on Instagram.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm on. Something. I do remember this. I do remember this, and I'm gonna put it
they
up.
had an official ceremony and opened up and.
But that all went back to the original Wizards of the Coast and the fact that there was
There's Erasmus.
Yep.
And actually has, I think, 3 dragons around Renton proper. And Erasmus happens to be the biggest one. But
Nice.
he's cool. His eyes glow. He was one of the local sign shops that built him.
Uh-huh.
Put him up there on the top of the building. It's really cool.
Nice. And I do, before we leave, I do have to ask about the 1968 Chrysler Newport, because that's sort of an interesting story in what is Four Generals and so on.
So I'm a car guy, ever since, I don't know, long time ago, since I was a tiny human. And I've liked cars, I've had cars, and specifically Mopars, because my grandfather's dad, my great-grandfather, had a Chrysler dealership back in the 50s. That kind of started all of us on these Chrysler cars. And we own, 36 cars between the two of us now.
It's sad.
No, I think.
So I was working at Shuck's Auto Supply, which is now O'Reilly's, when I was 18 or so. And this old guy came in, and I helped him, and I was all excited because he had this, 73 Chrysler New York or something like that. Imperial. Yeah. And so I helped him out, and he was like, wow, this kid, enthusiastic about these old cars. And so they came back and they said, hey, this is, the best customer service I ever had. And we're really excited about your excitement about old cars and old Chryslers. We have this 1968 Chrysler Newport that we don't drive anymore. It's got manual drum brakes, and my wife, it was her car for all the years, and she doesn't want to drive it anymore. It's big, and the brakes aren't great, and blah, blah, blah. Would you like it? So would I like it? Yeah, I'd love it. So I talked to Pop, and we went down and looked at it. The thing was clean. It had been stored relatively inside in a carport, thank you, for all its life. So the thing was like rust free, and it ran and it drove. And so they said, okay, you got to put a starter in it though, because the starter's bad. So I went and put a starter in it. It was middle of winter, and they said, in 1 week we'll meet you at the DMV and sign it over. I had no clue if they're going to actually show up or not, or if there's like, hey, this kid, came and put a starter in my car. Great. But 3 or 4 through their work, they showed up and they gave me the car. And so we built the engine, I put a carpet kit in it, I've done a bunch of stuff to it. I cleaned it up and really enjoyed driving that car. My wife and I took it on our honeymoon when we went to the coast 6 years ago now, I guess. A lot of fun time driving the car. It's 18 feet long. It's a 2-door. It's I call it the mint boat. It's just a fun car. So then Heather Maddox, who's a local real estate agent
person, was in one night, and she and I were talking. I was standing bar, and kind of the game, where are you from, kind of a deal. And okay, yes. Oh, that's where my husband's from. Well, it turns out she's married to the grandson of the fellow who gave Ross the car. So it all just kind of full circle. The other thing, tell them about when it got fired.
Well, it didn't catch fire. Well, it did catch once, but that's when it started. So I was driving the car one day, and I had, stupidly, when I was young, mounted my new ignition box underneath the output for the radiator coolant tank. And it ended up frying the ignition box. But it was weird because it happened the day that the guy who gave me the car, his name was Dewey Ansett, the day he died. And I didn't know that until a couple of weeks later when we saw his obituary. And I was like, wait, that was that day. So it's just one of those weird coincidences, causation's not causation. But
it's amazing how everything is cyclical. It's almost frightening. So Four Generals Brewing, thank you so much for coming on the show. I will leave you question that I've been asking everybody, and I'm curious as to whether the three of you kind of have the same response or you all have something. But obviously, we're hopefully, fingers crossed, nearing the end of this quarantine, and obviously, breweries have had to make a lot of changes to sort of make it through. Once we are back to normal, once everything is fine, are there any changes that you have made at Four Generals or that you've seen others make in the King County area that you think should just be a normal part of brewing and craft beer from here on out?
We are partaking in, I really love all of the to-go stuff in delivery and so forth. That's new here. Some mail stuff, but mostly just delivery type things. And there's a lot of people that have gone to canning. We don't have the time, the energy, the space to do that. And we're actually, long story that I will make very short, in the process of buying another building for a production facility. So all of our energy is going that direction. But it's really helped a lot of the breweries around here to be able to canning and delivery. And I would love to see that continue.
Absolutely.
For me, I hope that people are taking this time to play with more lagers and do them right. Not do, quick turn lagers, not like, hey, we got to push it out as fast as possible. How can we cheat it? A proper lager, the word lager in German means long-term cold storage. I'm sorry, there's no other way about it. I hope more people play with this, use this opportunity to play with it, and actually make their lagers better, because lagers are awesome. Lagers are fun. They're challenging. They're, people love them when they're done well. I really hope that people continue playing with it and improving on it, because it only makes it better.
Awesome. That's perfect. Thank you both. Thank you all three. Thank you so much for coming over. If you are in Renton, definitely go by, say hi to Erasmus, and get yourself some really phenomenal beers. Trust me, it's one of the prettiest little tap rooms that you will ever see. It is worth the visit, definitely. I will say thank you very much to the Hudspeth family for coming up. Tomorrow we are going to be back in Florida, heading down to Naples, and Bone Hook Brewing, who just opened up for restaurant service and gave the first 25 people Bone Hook Brewing branded face masks. So we kind of want to see how that went. If you're interested in us, we are at floridabeerblog.com. The Florida Beer Podcast and Lager Layover are available pretty much everywhere you can find them. Four Generals Brewing, thank you so much for coming, everybody, and we will see you all tomorrow afternoon. Bye.
Sure.
Lunch.